everyone, and welcome back to the DM's Den. Today's topic is how to play with large groups. Now, the recommended group in D&D and many role-playing games is 6 for party members. 6 party members. That doesn't include NPCs, just 6 people and then the DM. If you're really pushing it, 7, maybe 8. After that, it gets really hard to manage. I have 11. However, before you go crazy about that, there are reasons why, and we've been able to make it work so far, and our last session was our most exciting yet. We're able to get the most done. Let me share with you a couple things that we've been doing and that we're planning to do in the future that made that possible. Now here's the most controversial one. I know you're going to say it. Why don't you just split the party and meet on different days? This is a club, right? Well, due to scheduling, that's not possible. There are no other days that the other party members could make during the week. There's only one day that everyone can meet. That's it. Second, they don't want to meet on different days. Never before have I suggested something and been so universally negated. Completely. By students and parents. Can't happen. We don't want to alternate weeks. We don't want to play on different days, because then we'll be playing with a smaller group of people. It's always going to be the same. Blah, 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 blah. I've never seen a closer knit adventuring group. However, we did split the party. I know. Never split the party. Never split the party. If you're all meeting on the same day anyway. Don't split the party. We split the party. But here's how we make it work. One group of individuals, 6 of them, like the idea of going off one direction, going through some woods, adventuring, seeing what they can see, fighting monsters, talking to monsters, all that cool stuff. They are much more exploratory. The other group of folks are like, wait, we want to go on this rescue mission. Let's help this little creature we found. And they are going literally the opposite part of the map. So we have both parties splitting. And it makes sense for their motivations. The people over here would have nothing invested with the people over here. And vice versa. Not interested. So, they're going that way. That makes sense. Now, they all want to meet on the same day. So what do we have to do to help this out? Now, you might say, okay, that's fine, get a second DM. Then you can run both sessions simultaneously, and it'll work so much better. I agree with you. Unfortunately, I'm the only one that knows how to play this game. I'm working on getting a second DM. It's going to happen in the future. However, right now, we still want to play. So how do you make it work? At least for now. First, time their turns. Especially young players, beginning players, they may not know what to do all the time. But when you light a fire under their butts, they start to pick it up quick. I'm not saying cancel their turn after the timer goes out, but skip them. Come back to them later if they're not sure what to do. Give them more time to think about it. I have a tiny sand timer, a 1-minute sand timer that I flip when their turn starts. They have that amount of time to do something, to tell me what they're doing, and then perform the action. For some players, it takes them 10 seconds. Not a problem. And if that happens, the next player gets a little bit more time before I flip again. So that's kind of cool. You have an incentive for getting your turn done quickly and efficiently. Not sloppily, just quickly. Think about what you're going to do before you do it. Cool. That helps combat dramatically. When it comes to role-playing scenarios, more casual settings, interactions, it's a lot more organic. I kind of go round robin in one party, and then I jump over the other one and do round robin in that party. Who's doing things, Okay, we come to a sort of a pause point. All right, come into the next group. And they love it. Last time we did it, it was amazing. Did one group, I switched and went over the other group. That group got up, went to the back of the room, or went to a different room entirely, discussed for a little bit, and then came back. And they knew what to say, what to ask, how to interact, what to do when I came back to them. That was really smart on their part, and I highly recommend that you enforce that, reinforce that, make sure they know what they're doing. because that keeps everything moving quickly. In combat-specific situations, yes, I do the 1-minute timer, but I also have a little bell. I do initiative order for one combat round, ding, next combat round. I don't want people to disappear unless they're trying to figure out something as a team, like do some louder discussion. If they do that, I put them in the back of the room, and then we hear that ding, they come right back and they've got to go. Gotta go, folks, gotta go. We only have about 2 hours to run each session, so those little things of keeping the timer going, the little dings between combat, switch, go, 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 keeps things moving and allows us to accomplish a lot more. The other thing you have to make sure that you do with that many players and many new players is to make sure everybody is up to speed. You're going to have a mixture of experienced gamers, experienced role players that maybe have played other games like this, and folks who have never seen this before. How do you make sure everyone's on the same page? In one of your beginning sessions, if you have like 2 hours like me, take the first hour on one of those sessions, just the first hour, and make sure everyone has all their gear. They have all their spells. They know how spells work. They have all of their choices mapped out. They have done all their backgrounds. They have their starting equipment. They have everything they need to get started. And everyone is now on an equal playing field. They all have the same level of stuff, really, is what I'm getting at. If you do that, and then you as the DM write down their AC, you write down their passive perception, their total maximum HP, do that in pencil, it's going to change. Maybe you want to write down what they get for wisdom saving throws if you really want to get meticulous, but write down those basics. Even write down their initiative additions. These are important because you're going to be asking these questions a lot as a DM. And wouldn't it be nice if you just had them all written down behind your DM screen? It's a wonderful little thing with all these great walls you can stick stuff on. Make one of the flaps that AC tracker so you know who's what. That way you don't have to sit there and go, wait, what's your AC? Wait, what's your AC? Wait, what's your AC? You already know. And if there are extra bonuses, the kids can track those. The players can track those and be like, oh, wait, it's 15 now because of blah, 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 blah. And that's great. You can track that too. Which brings me to my next point. The DM has to do quite a bit. And if you're managing 11, 12, 13 players, you have a lot to manage. So how can you take some of the responsibilities off of you onto the players? Which again adds to that other thing we've talked about, which is immersion and investment. Well, a little thing called delegation. Give jobs to certain players. You're going to have players who are very much into this whole thing. Take advantage of that. For example, jobs you can delegate. Get a banker, someone who keeps track of the party's gold. Right now, my players are a little greedy. They want to track their own gold. But as we start to get more and more treasure, it's going to get a little nuts. If you have someone who's a banker, it doesn't mean they keep everything. They're just keeping track of the total number for everybody. Maybe someone has more gold than others, that's fine. But when you get new loot, they write down, we got this thing, and Grognor Stormfist has it. They can choose to organize it however they want. And think about it. Kids are organized. Some kids are really organized. Take advantage of that. Or you might have a kid that's not very organized. You might have an adult who's not very organized that needs to work on that and wants to work on that. Help them. Help set it up for them. Help them organize it so it makes sense to them. And then they're keeping track of everything. That way you, as the DM, don't have another thing to keep track of. The party can keep track of it. Have someone in charge of initiative order. I don't mean in charge of it like they get all the numbers. No. But they're the ones who keep their ear out when people roll. When I say the awesome, infamous words of roll initiative that should strike fear and excitement into player characters. Roll initiative. When they start rolling, start calling out numbers, I might be getting monsters ready. And then I also have to track their initiative. Oh man, what am I doing? Wouldn't it be cool if a player could go, okay, that's my initiative, and everyone else's, they can have a tracker already there. In fact, this is the Pathfinder Combat Pad. Now I know it's for Pathfinder, but it can work for anything. It's an initiative tracker, and it's magnetic. So here's the thing. Instead of just drawing with, white erase on a board somewhere, you can have your players do this instead. Using a wet or dry erase marker, players can write their names on these little magnets. Remember I said that board was magnetic, right? So they roll their initiative, and you put them in order. First, let's say right here, second, third, whatever the case might be. Now you may not be able to see it on here, but it says they're here at first, but there are these extra ticks to give a better visual of what's happening. So when they spend their action, you move it up to where the action is. And now we know that person has already spent their action. Cool. Because some things can happen. In fact, a lot of things can happen on someone's turn. Crud can go down on someone's turn, and you may kind of lose track as a party, even as a DM, of, wait, whose turn is it? So it's important to note they spent their action already. It's just a nice visual. And if you have an initiative tracker already, they've already got all of these magnets with everyone's characters. They've quickly jot down with their notes who's where, and then they order them. Then they have another thing to interact with. Isn't that cool? Interact with it. It's just helpful for everyone. And more investment. Another job taken care of that the DM doesn't have to worry about. There are other magnets available, by the way. The blue ones are for players. But then you have red ones for enemies and green ones for NPCs. So, guess what? As the enemies come out, the DM can hand over to that initiative tracker the enemies and tell them where they fit in the order. And then they put them in the order. And maybe the NPCs put them in the order. And now it's all set. It's on the board. People can see clearly who's where, and they can play. Plan your attacks accordingly. The last job that's really helpful is the scribe, and the scribe is probably just as organized and involved as the banker would be, but they are keeping track of all the people. They're building the world as the DM explains it to them. The DM already knows all these people. They already know all the NPCs that they've created, but the scribe is for the adventurers. They're crafting the story alongside the players. They're a player who keeps diligent notes. They know the town that we're headed to. They know the name of the warlord that's about to try and kill you. They're keeping track of those things. A lot of people should keep track of things, but the scribe definitely keeps track of things. And that also puts a little bit less weight on the DM's shoulders, so the DM doesn't have to sit there and be like, where were you guys again? What was the name of that town? The DM's taking diligent notes, but the DM has a lot to take care of. And the more players you have, the more you have to take care of. So having a player who's also keeping track of that is a big help. Huge help. But every now and then, the DM has to step in and check these people. Make sure they're not abusing their power, especially if you're working with younger players. But if they're not, you're creating a sense of immense responsibility and power and help. Lots of help. The more help you have, the more ownership your players have in the game universe. And ownership is immensely powerful in making sure that they stay immersed in your experience. So thanks a lot for tuning in to today's episode of the DM's Den. If you found this video helpful, please share it to wherever you need it to go. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. All these things help the channel out, but the best thing that can help the channel is to head over to the Patreon page. That is where you can really support the channel. The more patrons we have, the more we can accomplish in this setting and others. But as always, have a wonderful day. You're beautiful, and game on. See you next time.